is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Back with some more Resident Evil 4 Remake gameplay for you. And today we've been talking about the possibility of Resident Evil 9 being open world. Now if you're wondering where this information came from, this is not an official source. I always say take this with a grain of salt, but it comes from, yep, you guessed it, our favorite Dust Golem himself. And basically, and he's been writing last year or two, especially about Resident Evil 4 Remake, so I give him that. But he's not perfect. That's what I always say. Until it's officially confirmed, don't be saying, oh, it's going to happen this way. But nonetheless, he had a very interesting bit of information he just posted a few days ago. So basically, the whole quote goes like this. And I quote, "So here's a little tidbit I'll share. Capcom often will greenlight new initiatives in threes closer together. These examples are Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Devil May Cry 5 were all greenlit fairly close together to take advantage of the new RE engine. And the idea to remake Resident Evil 2 inspired them to also take on Resident Evil 3 Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake for a remake initiative. Dragon's Dogma 2 expanded on the RE engine functionality for open world games. The two other games building on this tech is Monster Hunter Wild and Resident Evil 9. The only thing I'll add additionally before going silent and not reading Twitter again for now is part of the all three project goals has been to retain the series DNA. Dragon's Dogma 2 is still clearly Dragon's Dogma, Wild is still clearly Monster Hunter, and Resident Evil 9 is Resident Evil." So, end the quote. So basically what the whole point of this is that a lot of these games are done in cycles of 3, and when they're trying to push the engine to its further functionality of what it can do. So basically, because of Dragon's Dogma 2, the game is ironic enough in all the news for all kinds of reasons, basically comes to premise that, or the premise I should say, is that because that one was open world, future games might want to adapt that they're using this same engine, which gets to the whole thing of could Resident Evil 9 be open world. Now, here's my whole take on this, if this is to be believed to be true, and if it does go down this way. Would I personally want Resident Evil 9 to be open world? Absolutely not, because number one, it would go against the whole thing of a Resident Evil game personally. Resident Evil games are not long games. They're relatively short. It's part of their appeal of beating them and then going back to beat them again to see if you're even faster, get higher ranks. That adds to the whole replayability of them, constantly beating them, trying different challenges, doing things differently. I mean, you name it. There's been so many things you can do with the shorter campaigns of Resident Evil. It's basically the whole appeal of the franchise, and having an open world would completely destroy that. I mean, I believe in terms of mainline Resident Evil, Resident Evil 6 is the longest one. Well, it'd make that the shortest thing ever compared to Resident Evil being a true open world experience. Now, one thing I will say is that you can adapt elements. Some people said, I've heard a lot of my comments talking about semi-open world. And one of the games I hear a lot of is the Evil Within, or Evil Within 2, and I 100% agree with that. Yeah, they could easily do that, and I could see that working effectively. I always like to give an example of what you're watching right here. Resident Evil 4 Remakes, Chapter 4. I love this chapter. I like the ability to explore and go to areas that you necessarily don't have to go to on boat, but you can if you want to find more treasure and hoard the pesetas currency to upgrade your weapons and stuff like that. And if you know me, it's always been a thing with Resident Evil 4 personally for me. I've always been addicted to collecting treasures, finding all the secrets and stuff like that, and just exploring. I've always liked that about it. So you can do that. I think that's elements they should incorporate. I think that'd be cool because I like the ability of every single area you don't necessarily have to go to, but maybe you want to take a chance. Maybe you want to explore more. Maybe you put yourself in more danger, but at that risk, you also have the reward of finding more things you might need, maybe more ammunition, but you might encounter something you didn't necessarily want to encounter at the same time. But you can have that kind of stuff. I definitely would like that. And the same thing if they ever remake Resident Evil 5, I'd like them to expand on that Mars section where you're in the boat just traveling around and going all over the place. I like that. I think that's cool and great. You can do that, but when I think of open world, I don't want a situation like this. An example, what I'm playing right now, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, where, a world like this massive, like a world this big, where you're constantly, it would just go against everything that Resident Evil is. And I'm sorry, I can't take that serious. All the chocobos in the back and all mimicking each other. But yeah, I don't want a situation like this. This would just be way too much. You can have a semi-open world, but something like this, absolutely not. It just wouldn't work well with Resident Evil. If you thought the backlash of Resident Evil 4 going more action-oriented was bad, if you did that, you know, open world like that, on that scale level, the Resident Evil, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine the reception between that. And it could be a fun, good game, but that would just really just... that'd be interesting. You know, if there was an alternate universe where I could see that happen, I'd really be interested to see how that would go down. But nonetheless, ultimately, I don't want a true, actual open world Aloy like a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or something on that scale. Because, not to mention, as I said, not just the time it takes to beat, but just how long would you think that'll take it to make, especially with all the stuff on this engine and stuff like that. Not to mention the size of it. Like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. But it would be a massive game. I mean, Resident Evil 4 Remake is about, I don't know, like 60, 70 some gigs. Personally, right now, just imagine an open world. Yeah, that, absolutely not. Semi-open world, I can see. You can invoke elements of it. But if they really wanted to try something like that, I wouldn't be attuned to it as long as it's done in like a spin-off game. Not like an official mainline Resident Evil title. I gave the idea of maybe if you, not in terms of a remake for Outbreak, but if you want to make a brand new Outbreak game, someone I read had a good idea where, what if you like had to go back to visit Raccoon City for something after it got nuked? And it's like the ruins of it for some reason, whatever the reason may be. And you go back there and it's just like, it's the entirety of Raccoon City. And that's the open world in an Outbreak environment. I could possibly see that partly because once again, it's not an official like mainline title. Maybe it's just there to be fun and stupid, involving Resident Evil elements. But nonetheless, it's not like I'm going out of my way to demand it happening. If it never happens, that's perfectly fine too. But yeah, in terms of true open world, definitely not invoking elements of it. Absolutely, I'm all for it. I hope they expand on it. Because I love Chapter 4 of this remake for Resident Evil 4. I really do. I like this chapter. I like the freedom it has. It's a lot more expansive than the original Resident Evil. As I said, this is one of the few things I do prefer in the remake than the original. Is just this chapter. I really do like just being able to go in so many places. You could technically in the original, but nowhere on this scale. But it doesn't feel like it's out of place either. It feels like it's natural, and that's what I like the most about it. But nonetheless, as I always like to say, that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you think about the whole possibility of Resident Evil being open world? Do you think it's like something you maybe could see, maybe not? Maybe it's an absolutely hell no, as I've seen some people say. Maybe you could see elements of it in a semi-open world, Aloy, like the Evil Within. I could see that. Or, as I said, take elements from this chapter right here, which I've been gushing about as I love it to death. Let me know down in the comment section down below. But that is going to be it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you all later. Peace.